We are back with another unavailable and unbothered special co host episode with myself, Tiffany Carter, and Regina Lawrence, where we are going to spill the tea today on inappropriate relationships, what happened with Regina's high school religion teacher, men who've stolen from us, ego deaths, and real shit about real topics in an unfiltered, very funny and entertaining way. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. Oh, I almost forgot. There is something that you'd be so mad at me if I didn't let you know about. I have some exciting stuff that is coming out. And if you want to be the first to know about it, plus get exclusive, the more raw, real, behind the scenes content from me, you want to be on my Secret Posse weekly digest. It's a great community. There's tens of thousands of us in there, and it's where you get emails directly from me every single week. And they're timed and designed to give you exactly what you need at just the right moment. You'll see what I mean. All you have to do is go to projectmewithtiffany.com/secret posse to join for free. You can swipe up. It's in the show notes. It's also here in the description on YouTube at Project Me TV. And I look forward to seeing you in there. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. We're back, bitches.
We're back, baby.
Another co-host episode with Regina Lawrence and myself, because you deserve piping hot tea. You deserve the reality of all the things in the world. And you also deserve a great laugh, which I feel is extra, extra needed, especially this time of year. So we had to do a double header for you. And if you haven't listened to our other co-host episodes, they are quite entertaining and even more so to watch. And so you can see them on Project Me TV on YouTube, minus one episode that probably is my fault. And this is an ongoing theme. And I need a support group for myself. And I'm horrified. So let's get into it. And I'm dead sober. And the video did not record, the audio did on our first episode that we did today, but the video didn't.
At least the audio recorded.
Thank God.
Thank God.
But I'm still annoyed because we also referenced quite a few times to look at us on,
because we did some ridiculous things,
but I'm sure more will happen, and neither of us have pants on, and that's for another channel. Can I just say something that is off topic for today, but maybe it needs to be a topic? What are these bitches doing on OnlyFans to make $42 million? I mean, this other chick just bought a house like in either Bel Air or Beverly Hills. Like, I'm talking like a $7 million house. And they're like young. I'm talking like one girl's 20. The other one's a little bit older. I am shooketh over this.
Honestly, the next time we're together, I would like to invest some money into OnlyFans, and I'd like to see what these girls are doing, because I am genuinely curious on so many levels. One, I want to know what they're doing to make so much money. I want to see what the kink is that these men are into. The one girl for sure, the one who bought the $7 million house in Beverly Hills, looks like a little girl. She looks like a
And she
child.
plays it up. And even when you see her profile picture on OnlyFans, and I'm not, no shade to her,
Literally
she's
none at all.
monetizing off these guys, but her body type and how she keeps her body and how she dresses, I mean, she could even pass if she was playing it up with her tone of voice for even 14
She
years
could be
old.
a little girl.
She could be
Like
like a freshman for sure, even an eighth. Like, I would even dare to say, like, an eighth grader.
she looks like a child. And listen, she's a small, petite, cute, young looking girl.
Yes, but there's lots of hot people on this app. So there's something else going on, and we're going to investigate it for you because I know you guys want to know.
We have to
Don't you?
watch. I'm so curious.
I'm fascinated.
I actually have a list of OnlyFans that I want to watch with you.
What's the show that I introduced you to? I'm forgetting the name of
It's
it.
not called Dating Naked because in Mexico the title is different than it is in the
Oh, you guys
US.
have to watch this show.
It's on
Uh,
HBO
It's
Max.
on HBO. What the hell is it called? I don't remember. One of you probably knows, but it is a game show. It's definitely out of like the UK. The UK has some great whack ass shows.
It's so
And
wacky.
you are basically picking the person that you want to date and eliminating people based on them naked. And it's full frontal. Like, you see it all.
It's so interesting to watch. Like they gamify it. So they have everybody in boxes like Barbie boxes covered. And first rises and you just see them from the waist down. Then the second round you see like from the shoulders down. Then the third round you see the whole person. Fourth round you get to hear their voice and then and every round they eliminate someone.
Oh my God, I just looked up and I saw,
Richard,
and I saw a puss.
you saw the puss. Wait, I forgot to tell you the dating naked show, whatever it's called. I brought this guy home one night, this like Turkish guy I had a love affair
Naked
with.
Attraction.
Naked
Naked Attraction,
Attraction, that's
HBO.
it. I brought this Turkish guy home one night who I had a love affair with for like a week. And I was like, I made him watch it. I made him watch 20 minutes of
Oh,
the
this
show.
delights me. This is like my favorite initiation. Anyone who comes to my house has to watch it.
I know, and so I made him watch 20 minutes of it and he was so
Did you make him
uncomfortable.
watch one where it's the dudes being like the
No.
dudes being picked,
Nope,
or a female one?
I did female. So he would see I felt like I didn't want to if he didn't want to see a bunch of dicks on the screen, that's fine. So I picked one with women. And we were 5 minutes in and he said, "How much of this do I have to watch?"
Oh, really? See, I would think that he would be into it. And I got to tell you, you might think that you'd be more interested in seeing like the dick side of things. Oh no. The vages are far more fascinating.
You know what's so
You will be shocked, and you will have, and this is done tastefully where no one is shamed.
uh-uh.
Genuinely, no one is shamed, and you will feel actually better about yourself because the full array
We're
of
also
badges
we're also
are
different.
represented.
Yeah.
Interrupting this riveting conversation for today's sponsor of the show, and it's the Secret Posse Weekly Digest. This is my special email community where you get direct emails from me that are highly personal, behind the scenes, actual journal entries of mine over the years of growing my business around manifestation, things that have been going on in my life. I share private photos from my camera roll. Plus, this is also where you get the first dibs on my giveaways, on sales, on any launches that I have going on. You want to be on this list, is my point. It's absolutely free. You can join by going to projectmewithtiffany.com/secret posse. You can also swipe up, access it in the show notes or here in the description on Project Me TV on YouTube. It's also in my link in bio on Instagram and TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. So even go pause this episode, join so that you don't forget, because we've got some special stuff coming. So since you're learning Spanish, you need to be throwing in some Spanish for my people.
I am. I'm taking private Spanish lessons and I'm learning.
Is there like a word that you've learned that you're delighted by,
Ooh. Not I haven't learned a
or a
word yet.
phrase?
Wait.
There has to be.
There is, but I'm forgetting the word right now.
Okay, well, it will come to you.
Because what the word means is to mix, like to mix music.
Oh, like not like mix a drink, but there's a different term
There's
for
a different
like
word for a
DJing, like
DJ. Yeah, because
interesting.
normally you'd say like to play is jugar, and or
Ooh,
like
nice
who
R roll.
I'm good at the
Okay.
I can
I'm good with
trill.
an R roll. I
Yeah.
can do it. I'm
Whenever I
into it.
whenever I meet people and they're like, "What's your name?" I'll say Regina when I meet them.
And is that your name in Espanol?
Regina. See.
What would my name be? I don't have any R in it.
No, your name is Tiffany.
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 I'm
Tiff.
down with that. I kind of want a Spanish nickname.
You need one. Like
I need one.
it needs to be one syllable and it needs to have like a oomph to it.
Yeah, I any of my Spanish speaking listeners, feel free, DM, we'll share it, we'll vote on it, we'll share it. So I was on the phone with Regina. Regina and I, we give good phone.
We give excellent phone.
In fact, it would like you would want to have our phone conversations recorded. The array of topics
They're
goes from like
so
multi-million
funny.
dollar business transactions, ideas, full-on strategy, to talking about dicks, to talking about like hot tea that we found out, to talking about Ozempic. I mean, like
Yes.
it is all over the board,
Everything.
like interior design, and it can all happen in the matter of 20 minutes.
Totally.
Like I like a full array like that. So I don't remember where I was multitasking. I think I was driving, and you said, which I literally had to put on the brakes of the car. You were like, well, I told you about that, when I had that inappropriate relationship with my religion teacher in high school. And I was like, what? I'm like, listen, I know I suffer from memory problems, but I would have remembered that. And
You're
then
like, bitch, I would have remembered that.
I was like, do not tell me, save it for the show so I can have a genuine reaction. So what? Like, how did this happen? Didn't you go to like a all girls Catholic school?
Yes. So my senior year of high school, we had a religion teacher come our senior year. And he was, I want to say he was 24, 23.
Well,
So
that's the first problem.
he was in his early 20s and he looked like John Mayer in John Mayer's heyday. Like your body is a wonderland, John Mayer is what this man looked like. I actually have
Okay.
a photo album of me and him together that I got to find for you, Tiff. I have it.
I
And
love that you and I, for all of our stories, we have receipts.
we have receipts.
Virgos save everything.
We
Okay,
save
go ahead.
everything because we might need it later.
Mhm.
So we have this religion teacher. He is not my religion teacher. He's teaching like freshmen, but of course, this all girl school, everyone is like wild about this guy. At the same time, one of my older sisters, I have four sisters. One of my older sisters was a part of this church group, this like young adults church group. This religion teacher was a part of her young adult group. Okay. I did not know that. My sister says, hey, come to this young adult group with me. So I go, and this religion teacher is a member of the group. So everyone's kind of in their 20s. I'm 18. So, like, I'm younger, but not that much younger. And so I start going to these, like, young adult, like, Catholic group meetings.
This is hysterical in of itself.
And so he's a member. So, yeah, he's a teacher at my school, but I didn't get to know him at school. I got to know him through my sister. And so we started to get to know each other and we started vibing. First, just as friends, where I'd be at school and I'd stop in his classroom and talk to him, not thinking anything of it because I wasn't interested in him. He was like somebody outside of school I was getting to know as in like a friendly way. Also, at the same time, he's like getting to know my family. He's becoming like a friend of the family. Like my mom's getting to know him. My mom loves him.
This is just so you know, this is sounding worse and worse, but go
I
ahead.
know. Trust me. But this is how it happened. And so nothing is going on with us. We're just friendly. Like he's friends with my sister. He's coming to family dinners. Like nothing's going on. And but of course I think he's hot. And then all the girls at school are like, "Oh my god, Mr. So and so is so hot." Blah blah blah. And so I'm like, "Yeah, he really is hot." And then I'm getting to know him, and probably after a couple months of this getting to know him like in a friendly way, I start to have feelings for him. And he starts to have feelings for me, I realize. So I'm having feelings for him. I don't say anything about it. And he tells me like he has feelings for me. And I'm like, "Okay." So we're already hanging out like in a group of people. And I think we definitely start hanging out like at my house.
But with no physical interaction yet.
No. Also,
Okay.
I will say this. I never had sex with this man.
Okay.
Just not that it makes it better or worse, but
Well, you were also, I mean, you are legal. You are 18.
I was legal, but also like I didn't have sex until I didn't have sex in high school.
What? I
No.
didn't know this about you.
I didn't have sex until I was 24.
What?
Yes.
Wait. What?
I didn't have sex for the first time until I was
So
20.
you didn't even have sex really in like undergrad.
I didn't have sex in college.
What the fuck were you doing?
Not having sex. I was really Catholic. I was waiting to have
But
sex
were
in
you like Catholic, like you'll do it in the butt because that's not
No,
sex?
I was not a butt girl. My butthole is a sacred portal.
I had those Catholic girlfriends, and like that's what they did.
No, I would make out, I would give a little handy, you know. I would fool around a little bit, but like I wasn't even really giving blowjobs because
What?
I
But did you get diddled or anything or
yes,
nothing?
yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
But like in college a little bit, but no, like because I also was committed, like I wasn't having sex until I got married.
I am fascinated by this.
Yeah. So I had no sex until oh my God, and I never told you the story about how I lost my virginity. That's another
This all makes so much sense. I literally probably had was with 100 people by the time I was 24. I'm not exaggerating.
yeah, no, not me. That I'm making up for lost time.
Wow. Okay, sorry. Go back to teacher.
Yeah, so we start hanging out and we start having a secret relationship. When I tell you I told no one, my best friends in the world, my best friend I mentioned earlier that I've had since I was
Mhm.
14, we went to high school together. I told her everything. I dated this man my entire senior year and told no one.
Does she know now?
She knows they
Was she
knew.
shocked when
No,
you
she
told her?
goes, her response, I told because the summer after senior year, we started to go out in public. She was like, "You whore, I knew it." Because I was like not around as much and
She knew
I
like something was going on somewhere.
she knew I was being sketchy and she thought it had something to do with him, but she wasn't sure cuz before that I was like, "Oh my god, Mr. So and so is so cute." And I would like mention how cute he was. And then all of a sudden, I stopped talking about how cute he was and I stopped going to his office. Like I completely like cut it at
And
school.
you were quiet about it because you were still in high school and he worked there and he would have been fired.
Exactly. I didn't want anyone to know.
So
So,
you're walking around your high school in your Catholic schoolgirl uniform,
uh-huh.
and there was a actual teacher in the school. It was the religion teacher that you were hooking up with.
Yep, and I'm like singing in the talent show, and he's sending me texts later about how hot I am, and that he's coming over to hang out with me.
Do we feel, looking back, do you feel that would that be classified as an inappropriate relationship? Like you have a daughter that was in that situation, even though you were 18, so you're legal.
Yeah,
And it's not like he's like 40, he's 24.
yeah.
Um, would you be horrified if that was your daughter?
If that was my daughter, I would say, listen, I get it. You got to wait till you graduate.
Would you
Like,
be disappointed in the guy, the teacher, or
I
not
don't,
really?
I don't know. Like the age,
Like
like
how? Because I feel like it's inappropriate.
it is.
It's inappropriate, but is it? It's not illegal,
No.
but it is. I mean, I would say I would deem it inappropriate, but I also get it.
I just think like him as a man, like and that's his job. Like you should
He has a responsibility, though.
he should
I
have
would
been more
say
he should have been more discerning.
he should say like, listen, I do have feelings for you, but this has to wait until you graduate or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like
do think him in that position, that that's the bad part on him, is that
yeah,
he should have done that.
and that was my mom. My mom's whole thing because my mom knew about it.
Which I'm shocked your mom was okay, because she was very conservative.
But he was like a Catholic guy. He was like my mom got to know him. He fit the prototype of like what she would have wanted me to date in terms of the type of guy he was.
Do you
And
feel that there was anything manipulative or grooming on his part with this, or
nah,
not at all?
not at all, honestly. Like, I don't feel like there was anything about it that was grooming.
You know what this has me thinking of, but I know the ages were very different. What's that famous couple that they like? I think they're even still married to
The
this
blonde,
day.
she was blonde, he's
The blonde,
Hispanic.
and he's like Hispanic.
Was it
And they,
Mary Kay Letourneau?
yeah, Jesus, that was wow. That was
Wow.
excellent. Damn, you pulled that from the archives. But I mean, I know that was a great, it was like something like 13 and 37 years old or something insane. It was some
Yeah, I bet they're still together.
But like I remember seeing some kind of like Dateline special or an interview update, and they were still married all the years later. And then it makes you go, but that was a very different, like an age, right? Like I think it also has to do with the fact that you're 18.
Totally. Yeah, like the age difference like wasn't so crazy. Like I was 18. It was definitely an inappropriate relationship, but
Yeah, like
like
I'm thinking if I had a daughter or my goddaughter came to me, I would say, you have to wait until you graduate.
yeah,
But you know what? I would also say if someone was fucking their boss, which I've done,
right.
um, that's an appropriate relationship,
It
because
is.
it's a superior, right, with someone who has an authority, so to speak, over you.
Yeah. And even with this guy, there wasn't really situations like he was a teacher at the school. So technically he's a superior, but I was never in a dynamic with him where he was teaching me. There was never like study hall that he would be you know what I mean? I think
Why?
one
But it all sounds, I got to be honest, it sounds really hot to me right now.
I think like maybe once or twice my senior year, my religion teacher was out and he covered maybe.
It is hot.
You know what was just funny though? Like it was funny to like
As
have
you're stroking your hair talking about it.
it was funny to like when I think back on it, you know, I kept that secret. I didn't tell anyone anything. And it was just an interesting thing to like be in school and like, you know, teenage girls tell each other everything. And like to hear my classmates talk about him and be like, "Oh my God, he's so hot, blah 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 blah," and to just be like, "Yep, I know," and just I was just silent. I didn't say anything. I don't know. It's wild.
That's, have you like, is he like your Facebook friend now? Like, do you guys like, is there
No,
any connection?
no, none.
He's probably like balding and very unattractive now.
Probably.
Usually this is what happens. I won't get into all the details, but naturally I on the other hand tried to seduce my math teacher. I
You
feel like
was
I
this a
feel like
boarding
I've talked
school?
about this. This was in I went to boarding school. This was in boarding school. I don't mind saying his name because like this guy's like a stand-up guy. So obviously because of my history, right? I try his name was Mr. Miller. And I think it was like I was at 15, okay? Like I wanted to seduce Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller was not hot. No offense, Mr. Miller, if you listen to the show. Or if anyone Lake Forest Academy is listening, which I know some of you do. Some of you do, and then talk about me, but that's fine. And I was sophomore year. I don't know, like I got really into geometry. Like it made me feel smart. Like there was
Okay.
something about like using a compass that like I really enjoyed. And he was like younger, you know, like, and that's what I was saying. Like, when you go, oh, this guy was 24, religion teacher, I actually do think that's a little bit of a problem in high school.
I do
You
too.
have these professors, male or female, that are like, listen, like, you could easily meet out somewhere, you know, it's like too close in age. And
Totally.
he was younger. I think it's because he seemed so solid and safe to me. So, of course, because of what was happening to me at home, right? Like I sexualized it. I really tried so many things to seduce him. I knew when his hours were, because boarding school works like college. So you call them professors, they're not teachers. They have hours,
Mm,
you know, that you can go to for like
yeah.
help, right? Like you get a syllabus, like that's a whole one of the points of boarding school is like to prepare you for college.
Okay.
So he had his office hours, and I would go in and I'd be like, Mr. Miller, I'm having a hard time with this. Can you show me? You know, I mean, I really worked it. And I mean, anytime I saw him in the hallway, like I gave him a look and he wouldn't do it. And
Good.
we got to say, I just want you guys to know there are Mr. Millers out there. Those of you horrified listening who have like kids in school, kids entering high school, and that you're like, oh my God, I would die. I don't want anything like this to happen to my kids. I'm telling you, like, Mr. Miller turned down my advances and I was elite. I was persistent. No one turned down my advances. And that made me like, actually like him more.
Of
You know,
course.
I even feel like I got his phone number. I even feel I went deep. Like I even think I used the Donnelly directory. Do you know what the Donnelly Do you know what the Donnelly directory is? Or is that only like a Midwest thing? Like it's the version of
Like the white pages.
like the yeah, like when they would drop off like the 5,000, like this
The
really
book.
thick, yeah, the thick book. And this shit was happening even in 2005, you guys. Like
The yellow they would
they were
drop off
dropping this shit.
they for us it was Bell Telephone would drop off the yellow pages and the white pages together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this was the Donnelly directory. And the Donnelly family kids actually went to my boarding school, of course.
Of course.
And so I went, I mean, there's a lot of Millers. Miller's a common name. I mean, I went I went deep with this and he still didn't go for it.
Wait, you were so committed.
I was so committed, and the more it didn't work, the more committed I got.
Of
And I
course you
just want to
were.
say, shout out Mr. Miller. If you're listening, you actually did something so good for me. You were literally the only male that was not a pedophile in my life. And I'm
Right.
laughing. I'm laughing because I use humor to deal with trauma. But like seriously, like
Yeah.
you were the only, like, aside from my own father, and you deserve a shout out, Mr. Miller. Thank you.
Wow. Well,
Isn't
we
that
had
crazy?
I mean, it's so good. Yeah, you and I had very different experiences.
It sounds like it. So for inappropriate relationships like that, you know, I these are like controversial, right? Like I'm not judging anything that you guys are doing. Maybe some of the stuff you're doing is sus, but it's like some people think that the age range of men that I've tended to go for is inappropriate. Like what is inappropriate? Like is it 10 years difference, 20 years difference? Like
I think I think it also depends on how old somebody is. For example, if somebody is 40 years old and they're dating somebody who's 70, I don't think it's inappropriate. It's
wow. So okay, so for okay,
I don't think that it's
interesting.
I don't think that it's inappropriate because I think by the time you're 40, you're a fully grown human. Your brain is fully formed And if you, for some reason, are into pop-up, go for pop-up. Okay? If you want to be with pop-up and his knobby fingers, go for pop-up.
I'm dead.
Right? But I think when I told you about recently, I had an experience where I was out and there was a guy who was in his 50s, probably 55-ish, and he was with a girl who was 21. That, and I'd never thought about it before, but witnessing it, like that, I'm not, it felt inappropriate.
It gives me the ick because when you're 21, you're like a Bambi. Like I don't care
Yeah.
how mature you are, like your frontal lobe isn't fully developed.
No,
And
absolutely
at
not.
55, I mean, you're a grown man. Like that's wild to me when I see something like that. So yeah, it's more of like it's not that necessarily the age gap, it's where you're at in life.
Yeah. And like, and it's interesting because we were talking to that guy a little bit about dating and when she wasn't around and I don't think it is always like sometimes for sure for some people it's like they're attracted to girls who are like that young. I think and that's like what they find attractive, but I think for other people sometimes there's a dynamic that happens between somebody a lot older and somebody a lot younger and men can like that dynamic. When a girl's 21, oftentimes they don't know really who they are. They don't know what they want to do with their lives. They're more moldable. They can kind of go in the flow of your life and you can kind of take them with you to kind of do what you want to do. Whereas if you're a man in his 50s and you date a woman who's 40, she's got a life of her own, I'm going to
And she'll
imagine.
call you out on your shit. And
Yeah.
she has like different, so to speak, like stuff because she's had more experiences, like won't put up with this. I've got my own thing, maybe even challenges, more challenging, has more boundaries at this point.
Totally. Like a girl, like somebody like me, I'm 38. I'm going to be a lot more difficult to date than a 21-year-old.
Absolutely. Like the 21-year-old Tiffany was also like easily impressed,
Yeah, same.
like so impressed. Oh, you have like your own apartment. You know
It's
what I mean?
it's
Like
also
that
like
was impressive to me.
the things, this is funny. I forgot. I haven't told you this yet. So, the things that impress me now are so different. For example, a man with a lot of money, money doesn't impress me anymore. Like
Okay.
I like it, I appreciate it. I more am impressed with what have you done to do the thing? What journey have you taken to like get to where you have a B in the bank? But I have this guy who I'm talking to. We call him the Guatemalan prince. And he's learning another language. And do you know the app Tiff Duolingo?
No.
It's like a language app that like they gamify language learning. And so every day Duolingo reminds me like, "Hey, don't mess up your streak. Don't mess up your streak." So I'm on like a 2-week streak with Duolingo, 14 days in a row. I feel so good about it. And so
Okay.
you could add friends to your Duolingo to follow each other to like encourage each other and
That's
challenge.
fun.
They gamify. It's really fun. You actually like Duolingo
I
a
might,
lot.
I might friends you on Duolingo.
You,
This
I
sounds
think
fun.
you can do it 5 minutes a day. So I say to the prince, "What's your username on Duolingo?" And he goes, I was like, "I want to follow each other so we can like keep each other accountable." He said, it's funny. I don't know what my username is. Let me look." So he takes a screenshot of his profile and it has his username and it has all the info about his account. His streak, 472 days.
I'm
He
impressed.
hasn't missed a day in Duolingo for 472 days. And when I said to him, wait, I'm going to read you the text message, I was so impressed, but I like busted out laughing. I said, wait, you've done this for 492 days in a row? He said, well, you got to learn somehow commitment, discipline. And I said, no, I'm truly impressed. And he goes, that's the way to make things work, my love. There's no other way.
I'm dropping my panties. It's done. That is so hot.
like this man wants to learn a language so much, and he has private lessons he does every morning at 7 a.m. He has not missed a Duolingo for that is impressive to me.
Yes, it shows his level of commitment when he's committed, that his actions and words match.
Oh my
I'm
God.
I love it.
I learned so much about him. So that's the stuff that impresses me about men. Like, yeah, this guy is super successful and makes great money and is an entrepreneur and blah, 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 whatever. I don't care. Like that kind of stuff, panties are off.
I mean, that would be very hot to me. I would
Yeah.
actually be stunned silent because my experience, and I am calling in a different experience because I'm no longer available for this experience, is where men's actions and words don't match. I mean, I
Oh
have
my
had this experience with
God.
women as well, but where
Totally.
actions and words don't match. And there is nothing that will shut me down, turn me off, infuriate me more than someone who's good with the mouth, as my grandma would always say. And then there is no follow through. Like, you want to see me like you're dead to me? That's what you
Yep.
do.
Exactly. Same. And it's for romantic partners and it's in friendships and relationships
Absolutely.
and
And it's
business
very it's
partnerships.
shocking, it's hurtful. And my side of the street of it is, God, some people are so good with their words, man.
Mhm.
They're so good and convincing because a lot of it is that they believe it themselves in the moment. Like addicts are amazing at this. So
The
good at it in the moment. They'll look you in your eyes with conviction. It's because like I do believe they believe it in the
totally.
moment. So it seems believable. So therefore, then I believe it. I assume they're gonna, it's true. I assume they're gonna follow through because I follow through.
Totally. They're good with the
But
mouth.
but the reality is like I can't trust you until I see the actions and words match. There has to be a little bit of a buildup.
Well, and also something this guy said to me, which I respect, is he said, I don't tell people often about what I'm doing until it's done.
Well, that's one of the things I've been doing my whole life. There's a few people like
Yeah.
you're a safe person. I would tell like my coach,
Mm-hmm.
that's a safe coach. Not all coaches are safe, especially
No.
when you're like doing bigger and bigger things, or you're like
Agreed.
you make more money than them, or
Uh-huh.
your podcast or whatever does better than them. People can get really weird on you, but there's only a couple people who I'll share that with.
Same.
Why does someone need to know? Like it's not like to be shady. It's also like people can like do the evil eye on you. They can
Mm-hmm.
project their stuff on you. I mean, I know that we've talked about this, but like when people have done you dirty, like in relationships or when you're dating, like when you're shocked, like just shocking behavior that's like bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've talked about having people steal from us or guys trying to like be clever in how they get you to pay for things, but that's a form of stealing.
That's a form of stealing. That is, I experienced that. And listen, I will say, first of all, I take accountability for my part in this. I was the dummy that paid for things when I should not have, and then felt extreme resentment after the fact. But I dated a guy, and he, I make a lot more money than he does. And we were vibing and we dated for a couple months. And I ended up paying for things that I would normally not pay for. And he would manipulate it. Like he always, you know how in sales they say you got to assume the close?
The assumptive close,
This
yes.
motherfucker would assume the close. And one night we went to dinner and it was his idea to go to dinner. And I also like, if the bill needs to be paid, I'm going to pay the bill, right? And so the bill comes and he's not pulling out any money. And I like look at
So is
him.
like the check just sitting in the middle of the table?
It's just sitting there. And I'm
I
like,
hate
I
that.
hate that. I'd rather just pay it. So then
Same.
so then I'm like, you know, whatever. I grab the check, I pay the bill, we leave. And as we're walking out, he's much taller than me. He puts his arm around me and pulls me in for a hug. And he goes, "Thanks so much for paying for dinner, babe."
Ew.
And I looked and I was stunned silent because what I wanted to say was, I never agreed to pay for dinner.
And you're the one who wanted to go to fucking dinner.
And but what I've learned is this is a pattern that he does with women because I've met other women that have dated him, and he assumptive closes, and he does it as a slow progression. It's like he'll pay for stuff initially, and then like you go for coffee and like maybe you buy a coffee, or like he kind of, you go for drinks and like you're at a busy bar and he'll get drinks, and then you go and you're like, I'll go get drinks,
He's
right?
like desensitizing you to paying for things.
Yeah, so like it was kind of a slow thing, and then we'd be at lunch and he'd be like, "Oh, can I just give you cash later?" And I was like, "Sure." My card's not working. That's his line. My card's not, or I don't have my card with me. And so I'd be like, "Yeah." And like in reality, lunch is $30. So I'm not thinking about the fact that he owes
Right.
me $15. And like in Mexico, they don't Venmo. It's not a thing that they do
Right.
here, right? And so I'd kind of pick up tabs here and there, not even realizing it. And then this one time we were going somewhere into like an ecological reserve, and you have to pay $2 a person to get
This is
into
the
it.
jungle entrance.
Yes, the jungle
Okay.
entrance, yeah, and you have to pay $2 a person, or like 40 pesos a person, and it was for his friend's birthday party, and he didn't have cash or anything, and he's like, he goes, "Well, don't you have your card?" And the way he said, "Don't
Like,
you like, put it on your card." Granted, it was for US dollars. It
right.
like, that wasn't the point. It was the assumption that I was gonna pay for him and, myself to go to his friend's birthday. That, by the way, we went to, and he didn't, it was like a barbecue and a party, and he didn't bring a bottle, he didn't bring anything.
Ew.
And so, yeah, it was like a slow creep of me paying for stuff, and
Didn't this same guy end up stealing from another woman in town?
so the girl who he dated after me, wait, this is hilarious. She tried to break up with him. She finally has broken up with him, by the
Oh,
way.
that's good to hear.
He was slowly moving into her house.
This is what they love. That's their next level
He
move.
was slowly bringing more and more stuff and moving into her house. And she had tried to break up with him, but it's hard to break up with somebody when they live in your house. And so she tried to break up with him this one time. They got into this big fight. He comes over her house. No, no, he broke into her house and he took his stuff, and then he took groceries from the fridge. He took frozen meat from the freezer. He took a bulb of garlic. He took a bottle of olive oil. Like, he took food from the kitchen. And she was like, "Bro, if you're that hard up, I would have given it to you. Like, you don't need to steal it." So he really, like, he didn't do anything like that with me. He just slow creeped on me paying for stuff, and then I ended it. I was like, "I'm not doing this with this guy anymore." But with her, he literally stole a bottle of olive
Well,
oil from
because
her.
their relationship was evolved, right? To
Yeah.
him basically living there. So he had even more. It's like thieves, right? They eventually get caught because they get greedy, and they get greedier and greedier until like a woman has had enough of this guy. Or
Yeah.
and then he just moves on.
To the
He moves
next
on to a new person.
his
So
next victim.
so
But
when
you
I lived in my LA townhouse, like prime Tiffany's prime club years in Los Angeles,
how
he
old were you?
it was nicknamed the Cave. This was in like my 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
So like Paris Hilton, Les Deux, like the club scene,
Yeah.
and my place was called the Cave, and it did look like a cave. It was like the inside when like W hotels were like the vibe, and it had
Yes.
like dark and moody. That's how my interior of my place was designed because it fit my mood, quite frankly. I was like, I don't want a fucking white kitchen. I was like the opposite of that. So of course I was in a relationship with an addict.
Mhm.
What a surprise. This is someone who like has like a legit like director level position in pharmaceuticals. Okay. Like makes good money. Someone who I thought was raised right, but you can be raised right, but you're an addict. It's all out the window.
Right.
And I was constantly traveling at this time, like for work. Like I'm talking every week, I lived between Vegas and Los Angeles. And then I had to go, it was insane. It sounds glamorous and it is at first. And then I don't know how I did that. I did it for 12 years. I don't know
Wow.
how I survived. And so I was always gone. And so if I was in like a relationship with somebody, without a doubt, like they usually had the garage code, they had a key, more so selfishly, like like I would say, hey, can you grab my mail? Or,
Yeah.
like, can you change the litter box? Or it would be for my own selfish purposes. And, they were always fine to do that. Like, and I was like, you can chill there. That's fine. Obviously, this is someone I'm in a
Dating.
relationship with.
Yeah.
And because I traveled so much and because I have a deep love for supplies, I like supplies.
We
I
know.
like knowing that I'm out of a roll of paper towels. I have 25 in the backlogs.
Totally.
I need a ginger ale. I have it. I like the main staples. I like knowing because when I would get back from these trips, because I was in that world of totally overworked, I'd be like exhausted. I'd have to rot for like the entire weekend. So I needed to know my supplies were there. So I would pre-shop knowing when I come back, I would have all my things, right? Like
Mhm.
laundry detergent, all the shit. Because you couldn't Instacart.
No.
There was not TaskRabbit. There was no one that was going to go get my shit. And I didn't want to ask anyone to have to get it. So I'm painting the picture. So my garage had like this storage cabinet that had glass fronts in it. And it looked like it was like almost like a mini Costco in there. Like
I love this.
I had all the supplies, like the Clorox, the even backup shampoo. I had everything was like in a row. You could see it. It was like nicely displayed. And I would go and get like supplies, like, oh, I'm out of this. And then I remember a friend came over and she was like, she wanted like dirty martinis. And I was like, she's like, oh, you don't have any vodka in here. And I go, oh no, I have a backup. Like I was a Grey Goose person, of
Mhm.
course.
Of
And I was
course.
like, I have a Grey Goose in the cabinet. And she went out there and she's like, no, there's nothing here. And I go, I swear I could have it. Maybe look in the freezer. No, it's not here. And I go, huh, I thought I got a bottle. Then it would proceed to like, I'm out of toilet paper. And I was like, go to the garage to get toilet paper. And it's like, there would only be like 4 rolls. And I was like, God, I went through that many. I was like barely here this month. And I started thinking I was like losing my mind, like something was going on. And then I went to get fabric softener. And this is when like this is what tipped me off because I remember deliberately getting fabric softener because something else happened. I ran into somebody. It was like one of the
Yeah.
only things I got. Like nothing could gaslight me into not knowing I didn't get this fabric softener. And I went to get the fabric softener and it was gone. And I
Mm.
go, okay, something's fucking weird. What is going on here? And I thought, well, maybe Jackie, who I've I've had in my life for that long, who's my house manager now, she was my cleaning lady then. And maybe she put it somewhere because we all know when we pay someone to clean our houses, like shit ends up in weird places.
Totally.
And she was like, no, and I believe her because she's been around,
Yeah.
around me long enough. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I asked of course, now ex, I asked him, like, hey, did you happen to like take my fabric softener? Because I know I got it and I don't have it. And he was like, instantly got like, why would I do that? Like almost like offended
Mm.
that I was accusing him. And you know how when people get like really defensive that
Yeah.
quickly? And I was like, and then I just go, matter of fact. And I was like, I'm noticing like there's a lot of things like I had vodka and it's missing, paper towels and it's missing. And this man had the audacity to turn it around on me and get mad at me and go, well, yeah, like when I'm out of something, I take it. Like, what, of course I would. Like, if I had any of these things, like, you could take them from me. And I go, so you did take the fabric softener? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I did. And really stood his ground on that. That was there for the taking. I go, so did you have a plan of like replacing it? And he's like, well, I figured like if you needed it, we could just like go to the store. And so he was treating my supply cabinet as his store,
No
not giving
way.
a shit that when I was doing that so that I would have the convenience and not replenishing anything and justifying all of it.
Wow.
And it was like it was unbelievable. And I was like, oh my God, what else has he stolen? And I mean, then I started noticing things as I use them, like those giant like Tylenol bottles from Costco that have like 300 Tylenols. There was almost none left. You know, it was like this guy
Wow.
was treating my house as his Costco and felt like that was okay, probably because he like paid for trips, he's paid for dinner, he paid for things. Like he felt like, what's the big deal? It's
He
not
felt
about
like
the money.
he felt like it justified it. Well, it's interesting, like even the guy that I dated, he didn't do this with me, but with the other girl that he dated, and like when he would ask her to pay for something or like and she wouldn't, he would be like, I do so much for you. Ba ba ba. Like, like I do this and I do that. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like you're living in my house for
And also
free.
just ask, like
Right.
ask, say, hey, I'm out, can I have this? Or if you're like, ask. It's about that. It's not about like the money. But
Mm-mm.
like, if exactly that, the guy in Mexico thinks because I do you favors or I've helped you with this, like that it's a free for all. It's like, I don't give a shit if you just bought me a Chanel bag.
Right.
You don't just get to like take what you need from someone's home. That's crazy.
No, that's like we call it like we call that like little sister shit. Like when I was a little sister and my sisters had their closets, I would take shit from their closets. Like I'd take their clothes or their shoes. They'd be like, "I
And
bought
didn't
this."
ask.
I would just take it because I was 14 and their little sister. And I was like an entitled little sister. I'm like, "Well, you have so many clothes." My sister would be like, "I work my ass off. You don't get to take my clothes from Wet Seal that I bought, okay?"
They need to, what happened to Wet Seal? I feel like it exists in like Jersey. I feel like there's still stores left.
Actually don't think it does, and you can buy Wet Seal. Let me actually look. You can actually
I mean,
buy,
basically Forever 21 is Wet Seal.
yeah, but Wet Seal, no, it doesn't exist anymore. Wet Seal, what was I gonna say about them? It is like Forever 21. Oh, you can buy like vintage Wet Seal clothing on eBay and stuff.
I'm that's when you know you've crossed over and you're fucking old, is when shit that you wore at any point in your life is considered vintage.
I'm just like offended
I'm
by
offended. I'm very offended. I mean, I'm very offended by my current bag that I'm carrying, my first ever Gucci bag. I told you, and how impressed the Gen Zers are of that. It's a vintage bag.
is it a Gucci or a Prada?
It's a Gucci. I have a vintage Prada as
I was thinking
well,
of your vintage
but it
Prada.
is a vintage Gucci, and it has, you can tell because on the inside it has the small pocket
For
for
the
like, for the flip phones, like for the how the phones were so tiny,
Mhm.
like the Nokias, like those kind
Yep.
of phones. And there's a pocket, and that's the tell. And it's like, listen, I don't want anything of mine to be vintage. Like if I call something vintage, that shit better be from the 1940s.
It's offensive.
Yeah, that's it's not approved whatsoever by me on any level. So we promised you that we were going to tell you in the other episode, which you better have listened to. But if you're listening out of order, it's fine. There's really no order in any of this. This is pure fucking chaos. And that's the whole point of this, is that we're unavailable and unbothered pretty much by everything and everyone at this point in our lives. And just when I think that I can't reach another level of like zero fucks given, like where I'm like,
Yeah.
this has to be the max, something happens where something insane happens where I am taken on a journey like I
Yeah.
was around my birthday this year. If you want to be best set up to truly cash in and have 2025 be your most abundant year yet, to have your zero fucks given year of your life, then you need to make sure that you join my Secret Posse weekly digest. This is my free email community. And this is not like some basic newsletter that you get that's always like trying to sell you stuff, or it's just like cookie cutter and AI writes it. No, this is me writing to you with personal stories, personal photos from my camera roll, journal entries. Plus, I share exclusive manifestation and money mindset tricks, tips, techniques, and you get a weekly affirmation from me that's designed to go with what is going on energetically in the world. And they're all designed to read in less than 30 seconds and change your state from scarcity and back into the abundance zone. There's some really exciting stuff coming up that we're going to announce, and you want to make sure that you're first, because people who are first get giveaways, insane specials, bonuses, all sorts of stuff from me as long as you're a part of my secret posse. Go to projectmewithtiffany.com/secret posse. Swipe up. It's in the show notes to join, in my link in bio, on Instagram and TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. Make a move, do that for yourself. There's no reason not to. And make sure the emails aren't going to your junk or spam folder. You need to actually add these as approved emails to get them in your inbox, because some of you keep signing up and you keep saying, like, I'm not let into the secret posse. Like, why am I not in? Make sure you go and check those folders. I promise you'll be shocked to see what other emails are in there. I get people's emails that literally spend a fortune on their email team and their tech team, and major brands that I know I've signed up for their list and I don't have anything, and they're in that graveyard. So pull me out of the graveyard so that you don't have to keep signing up. And if you need any help with it, you can always email our team as well. I mean, I actually don't feel I've had an ego death before. That was, now I understand what people are talking about, and I'll
Yeah.
have you explain it because this is work that you do with people. I mean, it was painful. It was equally as painful as it is powerful,
It
is the
is.
best way I could say it. And I felt like part of myself like shed permanently.
Mhm.
And it ain't coming back.
No.
And you had
It's
one recently yourself. Didn't you
yeah,
call it like an exorcism or something?
it really was. It's like when I think of an ego death, I think different people will describe it differently. I think of an ego death as when there's pieces and parts of yourself that need to die off or need to go away, so that way like the new can come in. We can't keep doing the same things and be the same person and expect our life to be different. And so I've had these profound moments that I identify as an ego death, whether it be in a plant medicine ceremony, in breath work. But I've had these moments where I literally am on my knees. I almost feel like I'm having a mental breakdown, but I've had mental breakdowns. I also think a lot of times mental breakdowns could be ego deaths. We just don't aren't taught what to do with it, right? Like I think about times when I've had quote unquote mental breakdowns where I really was just at my breaking point in life and I had to let things go and I just wouldn't let it go. I was like, I'm not giving this up. I'm holding on tightly. And so I cracked. And then after cracking, I was fucked up because I still kept doing the same stuff. But so for me recently, I had this experience. So I moved to Mexico and like I moving to Mexico was not hard for me to do. Like I there were hard moments, but like moving to another country is not as hard as our brain makes us think that it is, truly. And granted, I'm a single woman. I have 2 cats. I don't have children. I don't have a husband. So I, take that into consideration. But the actual moving to another country is not much more effort than traveling to another country, truly. And so part of moving to Mexico is that I know that it's time for me to step into a new timeline. There's a lot of new work for me to be doing. I want to be in a new environment that inspires me every single day, that feels good for me, that I love. And like, why the fuck not live in paradise when I can? And so that's why I moved here. But as I'm stepping into this newest version of myself, of course, there are pieces of me that has to die off so that the new can come in. So I got very sick. And I think that the divine, God, your higher consciousness, whatever you believe in, can often use sickness as a way to make us pause and reflect on where our life is at. And sometimes I think we get really fucking sick because there's pieces and parts of ourselves that have to die off. So I got pneumonia. I got really sick. I live in the jungle, which sounds kind of crazy, but like I'm 5 minutes from civilization, 7 minutes from civilization, but I'm a half a mile from a main road. I don't have a car. I have a motorcycle. And so I get really sick with pneumonia. I get a prescription. I'm home in my apartment and with pneumonia, you're coughing. You're coughing and it's painful.
You're purging, actually.
You're literally purging bacteria from your lungs. So I am starting to feel better during the day. I push it too hard. The night, it's always worse at night. The nighttime comes. I go to sleep. I take like a nighttime, like cough suppressant. I go to bed. I wake up in the middle of the night coughing, the most painful cough. And my head is pulsating. Like I meant to pick up Advil or Tylenol and I forgot. And my head is pulsating from coughing for 48 hours. So I wake up, my power goes out, and it's hot.
I forgot about this.
I have no air conditioning. But I live in a little house community where there's like 10 houses in the jungle together. I'm the only one. Me and the house next door are the only houses without power. Everyone else has power. Usually if power goes out in the jungle, we're all fucked. But
Right.
and there's like some camaraderie I feel in that. Like none of us have power. No. Only me and the house next door don't have power. So I'm coughing and I just feel enraged. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I proceed to go through this process where I'm screaming, I'm yelling. I have so much anger built up in my body that has to be moved. I'm crying. I'm in my bathtub screaming. I decide to like put a robe on. I don't know if I told you this part, and go for a walk around my
I did not know
neighborhood
this part.
because I wanted to see if there was anyone around that could help me. I I feel alone. I feel like I've been abandoned. Who abandoned me? No one. I chose to live in the jungle. I feel like my whole life is falling apart and I proceed to spend and also my head hurts so bad. I I feel like I'm going to die. And so I just have this night. It's about 3 hours where this happens and I purged a lot and I moved through a lot of energy and I was very unwell. Like if you could have seen me in this moment, you guys, if anybody who knows me, you would have been like, what is going on? I was like an animal. And
What do
then
you think when you said like all this anger was coming up? What do you think was dying off inside of you?
I think I don't know that I know exactly what it was, but I think it's like there's pieces and parts of our ego and of ourself that need to go. I also think sometimes anger, when we have all that anger that comes up, there are lots of times in our lives where we are not allowed to be angry. We are not allowed to show anger, express anger. And so, as a society, and I don't even think it's just an American thing, I think it's humans in general, we're not taught healthy ways of how to express anger. We're starting to be taught that it's okay to cry and this and that, but anger is something that scares people. And so I think I, like a lot of people, have had a lot of anger about a lot of things because there's been a lot of injustice that has happened through my life. And I didn't feel safe to I haven't felt safe to express it. I'm also a Virgo, I'm also type A. I like to keep things pinned up, like everything's good, everything looks good. And when you have that personality, you don't like to show like when you're fucking mad about something, you know? And so I
Yeah.
think it was probably a lot of things that I've never expressed coming up, moving through such a big change, even though like it wasn't that hard. Like my whole world has changed. I live in a completely different world, it feels like now. Like I don't live in the same world that I lived in when I was in Scottsdale. My life
How do
is,
you feel on the other side of the ego death now?
I feel like a new person. I feel lighter. Like you said, I feel so much less like bothered, and I feel so unavailable for so many things. Like I have less tolerance for so many things right now. People, experiences, like, and not even in a like go fuck yourself way, but in a way
Right.
of like this guy tried to get into an argument with me the other night, and I was just like, "Hey, it's okay that we don't agree."
Exactly.
Like that's okay. And he kept getting like more mad and kept trying to make it personal at me. Like, and I was like, you're entitled to those feelings. You can feel however you feel about me in this moment. It's okay. And just stuff like that. Like, I don't even have the energy to like, because you know what, one of the things that came up is I don't need to be right. I want to be, I want to have peace. I
Mm.
don't need to be right. I want to have like community with people. I want to be in communion with people. So if you want to be right, buddy, that's you can be right in your world. That's okay. Like I would rather have peace than fight with you or anyone about anything.
Yeah, like what came up in mine and then I got tested. It was like the universe then tested. It was like I had to go a layer deeper, even though I had an ego death. There was something else, some aspect of it that I then had to go through another hard thing pretty much
Yeah.
a month after it, as less than a month after it, is that that saying like when people show you who they are, believe
Them the
them.
first time. Yeah.
Right. And it's like as someone who's, in recovery for codependency, and there's some hardwiring there, right? Like people who I love and people who I care about, I can make excuses for.
Totally.
I don't want, even when blatant facts are presented to me, I don't want them to be true, because if they're
Right.
true, then I can't have you in my life. So then,
Exactly.
and I already, like, my circle's already so small and I have no family. So like eliminating another person from my life feels so abandoning, and so, it
Hmm.
does not sound good to little Tiffy. And
No.
so I will give a lot of allowances for people, almost like too much compassion, right? Like too much grace, like, but I put
Hmm.
it under the guise of that. And that is what I ended up like releasing. So, like, what I'm unavailable and unbothered for is like, I'm not saying I don't give people second chances. In fact, I give people too many chances.
Yeah.
But now when it's someone shows me who they are and it's undeniable, and they don't do anything to make amends for it, they're not doing anything, I don't pick up those balls anymore, man.
No.
I'm not doing it. I welcome the space if there you want to have a conversation,
Yep.
but if not, you're gone, and it's not fun and it hurts.
No, it
But
sucks.
it's like it doesn't feel as abandoning as it once did to me.
Yeah.
Like, and now I've been tested since then, and it's like, okay, well then maybe this person won't be in my life, or they're not going to work for. I mean, people watch out, because I'm dropping people like flies. I mean, you just unfollowed everybody.
I
You
literally,
unfollowed almost everybody. It's like I'm in that, and it's
yeah.
not in a way of like Like you said, it's not like a zero fucks in a ego way.
No.
It's in a self-honoring way.
Yeah.
It really is self-honoring where it's like my energy, my peace, my joy, my heart, that I'm going to be a master curator of it, and you can make the cut. This is what's required to make the cut and to stay in it
Exactly.
and to stay on the
Exactly.
team. And
Yeah.
you don't do your part or acknowledge when you fuck up and like make amends. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it.
Mm-mm. I feel the same way. I unfollowed everyone. Like I just want to limit, like I've just realized like I want to limit the access that a lot of people have had to me historically.
I'm
And
really happy you got to that point because
mhm,
I didn't I didn't start doing that myself until about 37. Like I had to pay a big enough price for everyone having an entry pass. Like almost
totally.
everyone. I had to pay like a price like with my health, like and emotionally to such a level to where I was done. And I'll be straight up. It is lonelier sometimes.
Hmm.
It is, but it's not worth having an open ticket policy
No,
with the chaos. It's not worth it.
no way.
I would rather feel sometimes kind of lonely, or when I see people posting and there were these like large friend groups, and I can like romanticize that. It's like I know. Listen,
Totally.
I had a lot more people around me when I had no boundaries. I
Me
had
too.
probably 15 times the amount of people around me. I always had parties to go to. I always had plans. There was always things happening when I had no
Hmm.
boundaries.
Totally.
And with
Same.
boundaries, that number shrinks immensely, but it's like
Totally.
supposed to. It's
Yeah.
okay. Right. Like when people, what do you notice like with your retreats? What I would say, speaking as someone who's been to many of them, what I notice is it is set up to where it's a space that is safe and disconnected enough where your and things are designed so your nervous system gets regulated to where then you can shed the shit that you've been carrying.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a space where I intentionally curate it with activities and exercises and experiences where you can really shed the things that don't serve you. You have time to reflect on what has gone on. And there's a lot of people around that you can talk to and integrate the experiences with because we're all going through different and similar things together.
Yeah, and you have it right now. This one's by application only, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So we'll make sure the application is in the show notes where you can swipe up and get it. It's in the description here on YouTube at ProjectME TV. If there's any spaces left by the time this is being recorded, you can
Right.
obviously also DM Regina A. Lawrence. And if you're loving this episode, make sure you take a screenshot and tag us, post it Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the places, so we know that you like these co-host episodes. Because if you like them, you love them, we'll do more. If not,
Yes.
I mean, we're not, I mean, we could talk all night on our own. We don't have to include you guys in on it.
You just talk on
We
the
just,
phone.
right. Like we just wanted to bring you in on what these conversations look like. We find ourselves, I think we're entertaining.
We are.
I find us very interesting and entertaining.
I do
And
too.
refreshing, quite frankly.
Me too.
Like we should really charge for this.
We could.
I'm being serious. I would pay for this. Like
I
if someone had
know.
a Patreon and like and it was and it maybe that's an interesting thought for us to discuss
Yeah.
because I would pay for to hear refreshing real conversations and takes on like all different topics that are going on in the world
Me
where
too.
there's no bullshit, even if some of the stuff like we talk about doesn't sound flattering that either of us say, or
Yeah.
maybe isn't like quote unquote the right thing. It's like, well, it's being said because I really don't have it in me otherwise. Like I'm tired. Don't you think Don't you think people are tired of like the surface level shit?
I think they are. I think people
But
want to
I
just
feel like
talk.
they're still buying it and listening to it.
Yeah, but I'm finding that like on my stories and my close friends, people are like so thankful that I'm telling the reality of what's happening. They're like, "Thank you for just saying what's really going on."
Because if you truly want what you want in life, you want to heal, you want to feel free, you want to feel expansive, you want to be able to call like the right people into your life, there you gotta get in there. You can't do surface level work and expect groundbreaking results. It's
No,
not going to happen.
no
And
way.
I can't deliver anything else, and neither can Regina. And I understand if that's like repelling, intimidating, off-putting, but I probably would be 100% right if I stuck a hidden camera in any of your homes and overheard conversations that you had like with your bestie or your partner
Hmm.
or whatever. I bet you they would be just as like real and raw.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So make sure you take a screenshot of this episode, share it. All the information that we talked about on the show is inside the show notes. So you can swipe up. You can go right on YouTube at ProjectME TV. It's in the description right there. And make sure you also DM us. Let us know any other topics you'd love us to dish on, you'd love us to cover. Nothing is off limits because we get to talk about all the things because this is how we talk in real life. It's not just business, it's not just healing, it's not just relationships, it's not just, random topics about clothes and things like that. We get to talk about everything all in one episode because this is how real girlfriend conversations go.
Hmm.
This is why there is nothing better than than a friendship like this.
Exactly.
All right, love you guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.